for number 1, you got to do the parentheses first. So we're going to add this first and get 14. Remember, you're doing PEMDAS, parentheses comes first. And then you're going to divide by 2 to get 7. This negative is not in the base. So when you do the exponent, you do 3 squared is 9. Then you tack on the negative, and you get negative 9. It's a common mistake to put positive 9, but that would only be the case if you had parentheses like that. Okay, when we look at this, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division comes first. So we're going to do this multiplication before we do that addition, subtraction. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 16 minus 18 is negative 2. All right, we'll do there's no parentheses, exponents, we'll do 25. Now, addition and subtraction goes in order from left to right. So if the subtraction was first, we would have done that first, but we go left to right and we add this. 38 minus 6 is 32. For number 25, we'll solve by dividing each side by 5. So x will equal 5, and you can just write 5. You don't need to write the x equals, but you can if you wanted. For number 6, we'll get rid of this 9 by subtracting it from each side. We'll have 4x is equal to negative 7 minus 9. Those signs match, so we add them and get negative 16. And then we solve by dividing each side by 4, so x is equal to negative 4. First thing we're going to do here is get rid of the parentheses. So we'll distribute the negative 2 and get negative 12 minus 2x. And then we're going to move the 12 to the other side by adding it. And we're going to have negative 2x is equal to, that adds up to 23. And finally, we'll divide by negative 2. And we'll get x is equal to negative 23 over 2. For number 8, we'll solve first by multiplying by 3. We could have just multiplied by the reciprocal of 2/3, but I'm going to take it in 2 steps. So these will cancel, and we'll be left with 2x is equal to 16 times 3 is 48. And then we'll divide each side by 2 and get x is equal to 24. For number 9, the square root of 16 is 4. For number 10, 20 is not a perfect square, but we can rewrite 20 as 4 times 5, and then we can take out the 4 by square rooting it. It becomes a 2, so you're left with 2 times the square root of 5, or 2 root 5. Number 11, the square root of 49 is simply 7. Number 12, 27 is not a perfect square, so we can rewrite 27 as 9 times 3 because 9 is a perfect square. And you take the 9 out of the square root by square rooting it, and you get a 3. So you're left with 3 on the outside and root 3 on the inside. Okay, the slope formula is the difference of the y's divided by the difference of the x's. The difference of the y's is the slope, the rise, and the difference of the x's is the run, so we have rise over run. So y2 is 8 minus y1, which is 0. x2 is 1 minus x1, which is negative 5. So that'll become a plus 5. 1 plus 5 is 6, and when we reduce this, we get 4/3. I forgot to do the midpoint. The midpoint formula, well, the x value of the midpoint is the average of the two x's. So x1 plus x2 over 2, which is x1 is negative 5 plus x2, which is 1 over 2, negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2 for the x value. And the y value of the midpoint is the same thing, y1 plus y2 over 2. y1 is 0 plus y2 is 8 all over 2. So that's the midpoint. The length is the distance between the 2 points. And the distance is Pythagorean's theorem. It's the square root of the difference of the x's squared plus the difference of the y's squared. Well, x2 is the x value of the second point, that's 1, minus x1, which is the x value of the first point, that's a negative 5. So that'll become a plus 5 squared, plus y2 is the y value of the second point, that's 8, minus y1, which is the y value of the first point, that's 0. And this is going to be 6 squared plus 8 squared. Let me get some more room up here, which is the square root of 36 plus 48, which is the square root of, let's see, 84. That's not a perfect square, but we can rewrite 84 as 4 times 21. And we'll square root the 4 to take it out, and it'll become a 2. So we'll have a 2 on the outside and a square root of 21 on the inside. Okay, we're going to solve by factoring. So here we're going to have x minus 4 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to positive 4 and positive 2. Remember, it's the opposite of this, and this number divided by the coefficient. So positive 4 over 1 and positive 2 over 1. The quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So a is 1, that's the number in front of here. B is 4, that's the number there. And c is negative 11, that's the number there. So negative b is negative 4 plus and minus the square root of b squared. Negative 4 squared is a positive 16, minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 11, all over 2 times a. So this is going to be negative 4 plus and minus the square root of 16. This all adds up to or multiplies to a positive 44 all over 2. 16 plus 44 is 50, 60 all over 2. 60 is not a perfect square, so we'll rewrite the 60 as 4, because 4 is a perfect square, times 15 all over 2. And we'll take out the 4 by square rooting, and it'll become a 2. So this is equal to negative 4 plus and minus 2 root 15 all over 2. And then there's 3 terms here, 1, 2, 3. They're all divisible by 2, so we have to divide that 2 out to simplify. That becomes a 1, that becomes a 2, that becomes a 1. So our final answer, and because the denominator is 1, it disappears. We don't write fractions over 1. So this is going to be negative 2 plus and minus 2 root 15.